This weekend we have set up our German camp at Camp Liberty Sun in Son and Breugel in the Netherlands. Again with a lot of World War II displays and vehicles. But I'll show you around after this intro. I hope you enjoy the video. Welcome to the second edition of Camp Liberty Sun, a great World War II event in Son and Breugel, the Netherlands. Here, just outside the center, a small World War II camp has literally been built with displays and vehicles that highlight both the American as German sides, with camps, field kitchens, workshops, radio posts, Red Cross hospitals and so on, accessible to the public from today. But now it's time for the tour. Reinhard and I are even pictured on the sponsor banner. Here at the barrier we enter the World War II camp. Here on the left, on the same spot as last year, the kitchen boys provided everybody hot meals with their nice GMC CCKW 353 field kitchen truck. On the right we see a nice US Navy Chevrolet AK series, produced from 1941 through 1947. It looks like this guy wants to be famous. Here on the left we see the US furnished officer stand of the Opel company, with working communication equipment containing radios and telephone connections. And opposite, the HQ of the 29th Infantry Division, also known as the Blue and Grey Division. Here we see a nice US ammo dump display. This trailer has been converted into a military mobile homing pigeon loft. These mobile lofts were designed to host and transport homing pigeons which carried messages across enemy lines. This is a nice display of the Red Ball Express with petrol depot. This year we can enjoy again this nice US Engineer Maintenance and Repair display. It features the diverse personnel and mobile workshops responsible for keeping heavy construction equipment and general vehicles operational in the field. Primary feature of field maintenance was the use of highly mobile repair facilities. The tools and gears that were available included master mechanic tool sets, including hand tools, hydraulic pumps, a drill stand, and potentially welding equipment. This is the Opel company mess, with on the left their US field kitchen. And here we see an aviator display where parts of aircrafts from the Second World War are displayed. This field aid station, part of the Holmes Intelligence Office, is a reenactment group specializing in the medical services provided to Allied troops during World War II. This display consists of a field lab where, among other things, blood tests are performed. This display demonstrates how blood donations were done for soldiers. They really have a wonderful collection of medical equipment and it's very nicely displayed. And I really like this cabinet. Here we see a Dodge WC54 ambulance. It was a standard ambulance of the American Army in World War II, but was sometimes also equipped as a radio car. There was room for 4 lying or 7 sitting wounded. The next display is a US Army hospital, and again with a lot of medical equipment. Like last year, again very nicely displayed. Again, a truly beautiful display. Now we're on the way to the second terrain. First I have to try and pass this World War II US Diamond T 6x6 truck. As you see, what we couldn't achieve, so we move on to the displays on the left side instead. Here in the corner we see the display of reenactment group Arapahoe. We've also met them last year during the first edition of this event. Next is the display of the Princess Irene Brigade, a Dutch military unit initially formed from approximately 1500 troops who arrived in the United Kingdom in May 1940, following the collapse of the Netherlands. The gun on the left is a British Thompson M1928 and on the right a Brand gun Mk2. And here we see a nice US 82nd display of some really young kids. So the next generation of reenactors is already well on its way. Well done, guys. And Reinhard gets acquainted with a fellow creature. We're just on time to see this beautiful Mercedes convertible passing by, but we will see it again later at the German displays. Here we see the military reenactment photography display of the reenactment group US Army News Group. These members are all passionate about photographing with vintage cameras and writing articles, and as a group they also republish the Yank magazine. Next to this US World War II Dodge WC truck is a universal carrier, a development of the early brand gun carrier from its light machine gun armament, and was introduced in 1940. The vehicle was used widely by the British Commonwealth forces during the Second World War. Universal carriers were usually used for transporting personnel and equipment. The M2 high-speed tractor was an aircraft tug used by the United States Army Air Forces from 1942. Now we enter the World War II German part of the camp, set up by reenactment groups Kampfgruppe Böhm, Sanitätsabteilung 352 und Volksgrenadierdivision 352. Here on the left we see a German Opel Blitz truck and, as I mentioned before, in the background the Mercedes convertible staff car. In front of us, under the awning, my German DRK BMW R71 motorcycle with sidecar, and behind her another BMW R71 motorcycle with sidecar in sand yellow. This display is the officer's stand with typewriter to perform administrative tasks. And now we arrive at the German Red Cross Field Hospital, or Feldlazaret, of reenactment group Sanitätsabteilung 352. The hospital is equipped with boxes full of bandages, the hospital beds in the background, medical equipment, different sorts of splints, and so on. Now we arrive at the field kitchen of Kampfgruppe Böhm. The kitchen is stocked with food and drinks because it's important that the stomachs of the German soldiers are filled. And of course, this beautiful original work in German World War II Gulaschkanone. It was a nickname for the German World War II field kitchen, a mobile kitchen used to cook and transport hot meals to soldiers at the front. The Gulaschkanone was vital for maintaining morale, as the importance of keeping the army fed was well known. As Napoleon famously said, an army marches on its stomach. Next is the Funk display of reenactment group Volksgrenadier Division 352, with original Kurbelmast KM8 with a star antenna on top. On the big box on the right, an original working Torn EB, a receiver from 1937. On the table, an original functional Adler sewing machine to stitch and repair straps, boots, clothes, and so on. And on the tripod, we see an original rangefinder. And last but not least, the German workshop, or called die Werkstatt. Also of reenactment group Volksgrenadier Division 352, where vehicles and engines can be tinkered with. And today they are working on a special vehicle, a Sonderkraftfahrzeug 251, a half-track. It was a World War II German armored personnel carrier designed by the Hanomag Company. The Sonderkraftfahrzeug 251 was designed to transport the Panzergrenadier, so the German mechanized infantry, into battle. Keep watching the video, because we are all riding along the half-track later in this video. Now we'll have a look at the rest of the Allied displays on this terrain. Like this US first aid station. This GMC truck with trailer is getting ready for the World War II vehicle to ride. The organization made a nice roadbook with important World War II historical places, memorials, battlefields, and so on. And as you can see, everybody is getting ready for it. The Ford GPA Seep was an amphibious version of the World War II Ford GPW Jeep, and they served with Allied forces in the many theaters of World War II. And on the left, a rare autocar tractor truck. The autocar was the largest and most heavy-duty of a family of heavy-duty four-wheel drive trucks developed for and developed primarily with the United States Army in World War II. And here we see another one with a trailer. In front of us we see a Diamond T975 pontoon truck. And this is the display of reenactment group The Green Bastards. Unfortunately, I'm here at the wrong time, because they already left for the vehicle tour. So I can only show you this picture of their beautiful display. Here we see an anti-aircraft searchlight with 800 million candela, so candle power, and has an effective visibility of 45 to 56 km clear, low humidity. There's even a third terrain provided for participants with non-World War II correct vehicles and or displays. Later this day we took some German vehicles for a ride to explore the center of the city. And here we come to the Wilhelmina Bridge. In 1944 the bridge was severely damaged during Operation Market Garden. In the nearby area, other bridges had already been blown up by the Germans, making the swing bridge strategically important. When the Americans approached within 100 meters on the afternoon of September 17, around 3 p.m., the Sons Bridge was also destroyed by the Germans. However, the central pillar of the bridge remained intact, and a temporary repair could be carried out quickly. The next morning, around 6:15, the British engineers had ready a Bailey bridge that could carry tanks. and completely unexpectedly I got the chance to ride in an original Schimmwagen. The flag and stickers, which are magnetic, were specially attached so that the German vehicle could participate in the planned historical vehicle tour. And the icing on the cake was that the German reenactors were allowed to ride along with the German half-track. And of course, the tradition is to go back in time. I would like to thank the organization for another wonderful event. It's always a pleasure to be here. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that you won't miss any of my following videos. Bis nächste Mal. Tschüss. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe and hit the bell button.